Greetings and felicitations, YouTube. Jarl of the Appian Way here with a, what looks a little bit like a mirror match, but what I'm doing here is I'm looking at specifically the Dardania faction elite infantry units, because I kept running into this in the campaign and I couldn't understand why, that the fearless swordsmen were cheaper than, where are they? The Dardanian defenders. That they just, at surface value here, like, I'm gonna put the camera in spot so I can just kind of go back and forth between the two. As you can see, the things the Dardanian defenders have going for them are, let's see here, they have more health. But as I'm looking at it, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the end of their benefits. They do 7 points more damage, but the way that's calculated is a little funny. And they have, like, and I don't understand why this is a thing, they have a little bit further range, but less damage on their javelins. As well, let's take a look to see if that's got, like, their shield deals a 55% block chance. Let's get a look at the Fearless Swordsman block chance. I don't know that it's gonna keep me focused on the skirmisher for some reason. Here we go. The block chance on, yeah, is also 55. So this is a sword infantry, right? 160 damage. We're talking 35 weapon damage, 16 of it is armor piercing, and they attack every 3.2 seconds or something like that. So the damage value shown is damage over 10 seconds. Thank you, tooltip. That's helpful to know. So, 35, 16, 3.2. The Dardanian defenders, it is 35, 15, and 3.0, okay? Why a sword attacks 0.2 seconds slower than a club, I'm not sure I know why, but whatever. The other thing I decided to take advantage of here, oh, and I picked the same hero on both sides just so the two of them could shoot each other. I went through a couple of different scenarios here, but this one I just kind of did as like an open-handed skirmish, right? The other thing I wanted to check out were Dardanian Chargers, heavy infantry, most expensive unit on the Dardanian roster as far as infantry goes. But the Dardanians also have renowned Dardanian Sworn Fighters. These are also a two-handed club unit that charge into melee. It's significant to point out that the Dardanian Chargers do have javelins that they can sling in here. Also, Fearless Swordsmen get some kind of bonus to flanking. But it isn't clear what that bonus is. They don't really describe it. So I do a poor job of actually trying to flank these two Dardanian Chargers that attacked, that they all decided to go in on this Dardanian Sworn Fighter over here. But the Dardanian Sworn Fighter job was just charge in, get some damage on the charge, and they did a fairly decent number of it over here. But over here, I had my Sworn Chargers charge the Dardanian Defenders, and then I used the Fearless Swordsman, as described, as a expert in flank to attack in the flank here. So it's pretty obvious that this was not good for the Dardanian Sworn Fighters, who cost a whole 300 funds cheaper than the Dardanian Charger. Okay, it's important to point out, but, you know, they did their damage, and meanwhile, I have my Fearless Swordsman alone against these three units, and soon, over here, this Dardanian Sworn Fighter is going to have to retreat from this Dardanian Defender. Let's see here. Dardanian Defenders are the ones with the blue skirts.
Your warriors have been routed.
And the renowned Sworn Fighters were the ones wearing gold skirts. Alright, so they got routed, this Dardanian Charger came all the way over, and then it becomes an interesting little, really mixed fight over here. I mean, this was intense to look at. I was hoping I could get some kind of, like, yeah, this is the best overview I can get. I do get some rallying over here. I killed their leader, but check this out. It just gets more and more interesting, as over here, you can barely tell the Fearless Swordsman from the Dardanian Chargers if it weren't for the fact that the Fearless Swordsmen have a shield. So this one unit of Fearless Swordsmen is spread out. They've grabbed this Dardanian Charger and that Dardanian Defender. And even so split like this, the Fearless Swordsman's going to last just fine. Dardanian Defender here is getting tore up by this hero, and this hero is about to actually charge in here and try and catch these defenders who finally got themselves free of the of the Fearless Swordsman, who, by the way, they started this attack on this side. These are the Fearless Swordsmen. They attacked the Dardanian defenders in the flank, and they've wrapped around, and they've got themselves... They were holding up a whole other infantry unit for a while. It was so bizarre looking at this wraparound scenario, and even still, how they've managed to take on this Dardanian defender. I had the hero who went in to charge this Dardanian defender in the flank. The Fearless Swordsman just continuing to hold against these two Dardanian chargers. You can see, actually, they added this Light of God effect. It actually has a lighting source on the ground here, just like this God Ray effect. It's actually pretty cool to see. You'll never lose out where the shirtless man is when he is being so illuminated. So yes, you'll note I do have my two Dardanian sword fighters are back and ready to go. I'm just kind of holding them back because I do want to finish off this fight unmolested. The morale here, wavering, damage sustained, steady damage sustained. The Dardanian defender starts with less morale than the Fearless Swordsman, significantly so. But even still, the Fearless Swordsman completely outperformed. Now, this is all the more interesting because in campaign, the Fearless Swordsman is a cheaper unit than the Dardanian Defender. The Dardanian Defender is more expensive in campaign than the Fearless Swordsman. But the Fearless Swordsman clearly outperforms the Dardanian Defender. However, as I was spooling this up to do this kind of testing, the funds cost for these units are flipped. The Dardanian Defender is a cheaper unit than the Fearless Swordsman. Regardless, you can only recruit two. You can only recruit two Fearless Swordsmen. You can only recruit two Dardanian Defenders. You could recruit two of each, but you're limited to just two Fearless Swords, two Dardanian Defenders. And again, just showing how even hurt, even injured, even tired, they can just continue to beat back wave after wave of these Dardanian defenders. So, okay, this was listed as a close victory. I want to show you the end results here. Most of these kills were made on renowned Dardanian sworn fighters. Okay, so again, these Dardanian sworn fighters cost 300 funds less than the Dardanian Charger. These two units are 1,200 apiece. These two units are 900 apiece. You can only recruit two Dardanian Chargers. You don't have that same cap on Dardanian sworn fighters. Did you note in that battle any particular reason as to think that the Dardanian Chargers were a better unit than the Dardanian sworn fighters? Well, obviously, they stayed in the fight longer. They were there for a much longer time. They held their ground better. To which I posit this suggestion for when multiplayer comes out, that these guys don't get their value in staying in a fight, in a drag-out fight. They get their value only on the charge. The Dardanian Charger supporting a Dardanian Defender wasn't ultimately enough to defeat a Fearless Swordsman. It just couldn't crack that bubble long enough. Granted, there were other things in play here. There were other units involved in the fight. But the Dardanian Sworn Fighter did its job, did some early damage on the Dardanian Defenders, and then the Fearless Swordsmen were able to drag it out. But that's just one example. I did this battle a couple of times, let it play out in different ways. I did it without the Sworn Fighters and without the Dardanian Chargers. I did it with just the Defenders and the Fearless Swordsmen. The Fearless Swordsmen came out on top pretty much each time. So the multiplayer funds cost examination, I think, is correct for those units, which is that I think and I could be wrong, this Dardanian defenders cost 1,000 per unit, or it's 1,100. And the Fearless Swordsman cost either 1,100 or 1,150. I'm pretty sure there's only 100 funds difference, but for that 100 funds, you get a lot more leadership, and they have the same, almost identical staying power, except they deal more damage. Apparently the Dardanian defenders deal more damage because of that extra 0.2 second swing. I don't know. It seems strange to me. However, the Dardanian Charger, being 300 points more expensive than the Dardanian Sworn Fighter, I think I'd be picking the Sworn Fighter just to save myself the money every day and twice on Sunday. Okay, that being said, I got another battle to show you. I did this against the computer. I was like, okay, so when I'm learning here about Aeneas and his forces, what about his synergy with his troops? In campaign, I've actually unlocked a ranged attack for Aeneas, so much like the Dardanian Sworn Fighters, which I have, or I'm sorry, much like the Fearless Swordsman, he is shielded, has a sword, and throws a javelin, which I love. That option isn't available in the multiplayer menu yet. In fact, there's very little customization you can do with the heroes. He comes with all of these abilities, whether you want it or not, and those abilities are Divine Challenge, which is target and caster are forced to fight each other, but the enemy has to be a hero and they have to be dismounted. I'm facing Menelaus of Sparta. Menelaus is in a chariot, so I'm not able to use this ability. Alright. Divine Regeneration, his rage, he just recovers hit points, which is pretty rad. March of Hermes speeds up him and nearby units. The Shout boosts morale and weapon damage and melee attack, and Blood of Heracles provides extra rage and gives 50% melee attack. Okay, so that's some Aeneas stats here. Aeneas is a very decent melee fighter. Let's take a peek at the army. I decided I wanted to showcase the Fearless Swordsman in the role that it wants me to use them in, which is a flanking heavy infantry. Okay, we'll see, but I'll try. We'll see if we can do this as a flanking heavy infantry. And I was like, okay, well, who am I going to have them flank? I could have gone with Trojan Spears or Renowned Spears, whatever they're called, but I instead went a step down on the spears and went with just straight up Dardanian Spearmen, because of their versatility in the sense that they can change their weapon. They can put their spear on their back, their shield on their back, and go two hands with the spear. And they're a medium class frontline infantry with a shield, and the shield is quite bonkers. It is huge. When they put this on their backs, they look like turtle warriors. It's pretty funny. And what else was there to say about them? Bonus versus large, clearly. The shield block chance is 65% from missile fire hitting it from the front. And when they put the shield on their back, they get a bonus ability, trait, which gives them shield on back bonus, but it doesn't really say what that does. Right. I also took 3 Anatolian Slingers, so that I have some kind of ranged unit here. It just happened to be what was left of my funds for a ranged contingent. And then, because I couldn't stop talking about them in the last battle, Renowned Dardanian Sworn Fighters. Chargers. I put them on the flank with the intent of wrapping them around and attacking whoever assaulted me here in this tall grass. And then I took 2 heavy Trojan chariots, just because chariots are looking to be the most OP way to win fights in this game. I was like, okay, well, who can I test these troops against that would, be a good representation? I did an auto-generated Spartan army, and I kept hitting auto-generate until I got Menelaus in some way, shape, or form. What I didn't plan for was a Cyclops. I did not plan for the Cyclops. This thing is a hoss. He's a beast. He even throws rocks like a Cygor. It's hilarious. But there's a good spread here of Spartan units and unique Spartan units as well. What we have, Laconian Hillman. There's also a Laconian somewhere. Laconian Militia. Alright. We've got renowned reinforced chariots. Menelaus himself is also on a chariot. Axe Champions, Light Spear Runners, which seem to be a unique unit of some sort. I'm still trying to get my eyes around the way they denote some of these units. But I've noticed that if it has a gold or bronze border around the unit, then the unit is somehow special or unique. Like, for instance, none of these are, but these renowned Dardanian Sworn Fighters. These are unique to Dardania. These are unique to Dardania, but they don't have the gold border. The Fearless Swordsmen get the gold border. I don't know. I'll figure out the gold border eventually. So yes, we got Axe Champions. We got Renowned Bowmen. We've got Renowned Slingers. We've got a Cyclops, Menelaus himself. We also have more Renowned Slingers, Axe Champions, and Heroic Axe Warriors. I'm like, this is great. I wanted to face Spartan infantry. Let's take on the renowned warriors of Sparta, right? Let's do this. Well, he's just sitting there. He's not charging me, even though I have this perfect defensive line here. Okay, fine. I'll come out and get you. And let me tell you, this fight pretty much just turns ugly. I'll let you see. I mean, like I said, I am playing against the AI here, and the multiplayer, when it comes out, is going to be pretty fascinating for this game to see how things play out. But I was pretty proud of my army pick, and that Cyclops, there's a big wrench into it. As you can see, I went a lot more infantry heavy than he did. I'm trying to wheel a line out this way, maybe expose some flanks, but he's just not biting. He's going to stay here and let his superior ranged numbers start picking away at me. He goes for my Dardanian Spearmen in the front. That's fine by me. These guys are not expensive or comparatively to the rest of my army, and they have a 65% shield. I love it. I'm going to get my Anatolian Slingers up into position, and I'm going to start fighting his Slingers. Going to go for the Renowned Slinger over here first because they're the more experienced of the two units. I'm wishing at this point that Aeneas had his javelins, and rather than just sit here and get shot waiting for my Fearless Swordsman, I'm going to start moving up my soldiers, because never just stand there and get shot, especially when you can push. The Heroic Axe Warriors have missiles, but hey, here comes my Fearless Swords. I said I was going to put them on the flank, and I did. I activated Aeneas' March of Hermes so I can get my soldiers up there a little bit faster. It didn't hit my Fearless Swordsman quite as much as I wanted it to, so I move Aeneas over so that it then affects the Fearless Swordsman, and now he moves a little bit faster. Chariots are just kind of lurking over here. I'm moving up the renowned Dardanian Sworn Fighters. Missiles are getting flung everywhere, and we're in these bushes, but we are charging, and the Axe Champions come to greet us, so we'll take the Axe Champions, and then I'm able to start pushing forces through. He puts the reinforced chariots out here, and I'm worried about them just busting straight through and going for my slingers. So I put 2 Dardanian spearmen right into it right away, and the unit pulls right back through my Fearless Swordsman. Ow. Ow. But I get my slingers start shooting at the reinforced chariots as well. I get my javelins from my Fearless Swords going into them, and the reinforced chariots get tore up pretty quickly. This Dardanian Spearman had a good fight against Lucanian militia, I thought, but then in comes the Cyclops. So I activate Aeneas' Divine Regeneration, Blood of Heracles. I'm like, alright, fight me, Cyclops. Fight me. Oh, here comes some Axe Champions. This just turns into like that, oh my gosh, all those rocks flying. I got the reinforced chariots flying over there. I've got this Dardanian Spearman holding down a Heroic Axe Warrior. This Fearless Swordsman is actually getting beat up by the Axe Champions, and then here comes Menelaus with Threads of Fate activated. He starts pushing around Aeneas, and I'm just throwing slings in, trying to reduce their slinger numbers. My fight against the reinforced chariots went well, and then I have my Dardanian Sworn Fighters charge the Laconian Hillmen. Yeah, I'll kind of see how well that's going. Over here, the light spear runners are engaged with Fearless Swordsmen. That's not going to go well for them. Aeneas routs. Adding Menelaus to this fight was just too much for him, so he's going to get out of there. Here comes Menelaus, though, to ruin the day of my Anatolian Slingers. At this point, I'm going, oh my gosh, that Cyclops and Menelaus combo really did not do me any favors. So I pulled 2 slingers over, not the one that Menelaus is attacking, and I'm just going to turn them around to start fighting Menelaus for me. Look at this 2-pronged spear that he's using. So he pulls out, which is fine by me, and then I'm able to just have all my slingers attack this. I've got my chariots now into their back line, just kind of going back and forth across all of these. Look at, good lord, that Cyclops is into my fearless swordsmen, who are now with Laconian militia, axe champions, and Cyclops. They are truly fearless, still holding their ground. My slingers are just going to continue to shoot up Menelaus. I've got these Dardanian spearmen in place. I kind of need to do something about these heroic axe warriors soon. Very soon. He's activated an ability, the shield wall, for extra missile resistance. And I get a Dardanian spearman in place to intercept the attack of the heroic axe warriors. Here comes Aeneas is coming back. March of Hermes. And these Dardanian swords are gone. Absolutely gone. I guess he killed him to the last man out here with that Cyclops. Which is truly, truly unfortunate. Renowned Dardanian sworn fighters, Laconian hillmen. 2-1. Did not go well for the Laconian hillmen. And then I'm able to just start pushing them into these other engagements. I've bogged them down. I still have fearless swordsmen in place here. And now I have Menelaus 1v1 with Aeneas with a bunch of slingers adding their own counterpoint to all of this. And I've also activated all of Aeneas' abilities. He's got his Aristea up, and he is just going to town. But that Cyclops can throw rocks. Did I mention that Cyclops can throw rocks? My heavy Trojan chariots just continuously making mincemeat of renowned archers in the back. There goes Menelaus' Aristea. But my superior infantry numbers are finally starting to turn the tide against the Spartan units here. This axe champion is still in it, but I've got my slingers just dumping out all of their ammo now. I've broken and shattered another ranged unit out here. There's just a Laconian militia to slow me down. I don't know what the Cyclops is doing. It went all the way out here, and at this point I'm going, I think my slingers need to be targeting the Cyclops, is what I'm thinking now. It doesn't have armor. It doesn't have a shield. Slingers, please eliminate a Cyclops for me. And he's still throwing rocks. I'm like, oh my gosh, please. So with the additional infantry support, Aeneas is going to do just fine against... Oh, hey, look, he got off his chariot. I wonder when that happened. So now I could have used his... Apparently I did use it. Huh. I was able to use his taunt. And Menelaus is out of control as a result. Slingers immediately start peppering the Cyclops. The Cyclops starts peppering Aeneas some more, but he's going to rout. They're going to rout. Menelaus' Aristea is done, so he's routing, and that's it. That is the end of the battle. Things I should have done better. I should have had my slingers focusing on that Cyclops a lot sooner. But let's look at some of these post-battle statistics, because these are very important details to know. Slingers and archers were shut down for the enemy. The missile block chance on the Dardanian spearmen was too good. And frankly, most of my infantry that he was shooting was shielded in some way. And I don't think that that's what you want to do. when the multiplayer comes out, avoid using your missiles against anything with a shield. Missiles already seem to not quite deal the damage you need them to unless you're playing a missile-specific faction like Paris or Ithaca. Cyclops was by and far their best unit. Did a number to me. They totally eliminated one of my fearless swordsmen, who pretty much stayed in the fight until they died, which I love that in a unit. These guys have staying power because of their high morale. Heroic axe warriors, axe champions were the only three heavy units that he brought, and let me tell you, they were heavy. Here's a little unit card distinction to know about. This is useful information. If it's a hexagon, the unit is heavy for infantry. If it's a diamond, it's medium. These are all medium infantry. And if it's a circle, it's light. So 3 heavy units, 2 medium, 1 light. Versus me, who brought 2 heavy, 6 medium. My only light were in my slingers, and I mean, they did their part. They didn't take any damage, but they made some kills. 81 kills and 77 kills. If you can get 2 Dardanian Sworn Fighters to charge just about anything that's their weight category or lower, you can expect them to come out on top. That's been my takeaway from them. If 2 of these guys charge anything that is medium or less, they'll pretty much win. Actually, who was it that they charged? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the 2 of them got into an Axe Champion, didn't they? So even if it's a heavy unit, if they're not particularly well protected, they'll come out on top, and I like that. I like that math. I really do. And just for staying power, Dardanian Spearmen I think are going to be a very, very good unit. But let's look at what these cost. Let's see here. Custom battle. We're looking at Dardania. So the Dardanian Spearmen, 680. There are other spear options available. But those would have been shieldless spears, which I think the versatility of the Dardanian Spearmen just makes a little bit more sense. Dardanian Spearmen have less hit points, but they have much more armor, much more melee. They have a little bit more melee attack. They have more defense, and they have equivocal damage. But they lack the charge bonus that a shielded infantry has. However, if you were to swap this, it gives them even more attack and movement, but lower defense. Okay, well, what else could I have used? I could have used heavy Anatolian Spearmen, and at 120 points per unit, we're looking at going slower on the battlefield, less charge, but plenty of damage, plenty of hit points, plenty of armor. That shield is a 75% block chance shield even. That's really, really nice. These guys are really good frontline troops, but if you're playing Dardania, I don't see a reason why not to take Dardanian Spearmen to free up the funds to pick up something really cool like a Fearless Swordsman or if you don't want the Fearless Swordsman, a Dardanian Defender. But here's those 4 units that I was really excited about showing off, and that is the 4 most expensive infantry units for the Dardanians. The Dardanian Sworn Fighter, which was used, I think, really effectively for 900 funds. Let's look at the kinds of things they got into fights with. So you would hope that they would do better than an Axe Champion when they outnumber the Axe Champion 2-1. You would hope they would. But we're talking at, let's see here, 95 armor on this unit. Wow, those are really heavily armored units. As compared to, say, my 85 on my Fearless Swords, or the 35 on my Renowned Dardanian Sworn Fighters. That's pretty nuts. The Laconian Hillman, 25, 35. Most everybody here, I think the lowest armored unit is it's a Renowned Bowman with 35 armor. It's pretty up there. And the Cyclops with 10, of course. But yeah, that is my takeaway here from playing Dardania campaign to what I think I'm going to be seeing out of them in multiplayer. Something else I didn't even touch, and this is very significant to what the Dardanians can bring to the field, and that is rabble. Dardanian mob and Dardanian rabble. The mob is a shielded unit. Excellent morale at 45 for being only 200 funds. I mean, they have more morale than Coastal Club Fighters, Coastal Axe Fighters, equivalent to Coastal Club Warriors. They have more morale than Axe Chargers. Let's see how they compare to Light Spartan morale. 40, they have more morale than everything but the Laconian Hillman as far as light infantry. Nowhere near as much morale as light spear runners. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, Dardanian mob and Dardanian rabble, these guys are basically like Skaven, right? The Dardanian rabble is also an expendable unit. It is more expensive, but does not have a shield. What's the shield block on? It's 35% on Dardanian Mob. Honestly, I think the Dardanian Mob is going to be the way to go. I know that the Rabble has a little bit more melee attack, melee defense, damage, and charge bonus, but frankly, the role that you would use a Dardanian Mob for is for, like, throw a couple of them into this Renowned Slinger. Okay, well, now that Renowned Slinger, the Slinger is probably going to win that melee. But you know what that Slinger isn't doing while it's facing 400 points worth of Dardanian Mob? It's not throwing its slings, which is why you have it. You put 3 of them inside a Renowned Bowman here. That's, what, costs 540? Okay, well, that's 600 points of Dardanian Mob mixed up with 540 points of Renowned Bowman, and those Bowmen probably aren't going to win that fight, actually. They'll probably lose it, but that entire time that they're doing this, they're not expending their ammo. It's, you know, this tie them down tactics are totally valid. Like, look. How many, that was what, just 2 chariots I took out, and I still have 810 funds left over. And look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 8 Dardanian Mob. If I did the same battle, this would play it out totally differently. Just like a tide of Dardanian Mob. They are very cost effective, in my opinion. I've said this on the Heir of Carthage Discord before. I've likened Dardania to being Rome, but with Skaven units. They have actual legionaries in the Fearless Swordsmen, who have 2 javelins apiece and then their sword and shield. And then we have Ratlings. Right? Okay. I think I've spoken enough on the matter. If you like this kind of content for Troy, this kind of like specific to faction units and tactics and strategies and thoughts leading into the release of multiplayer, please let me know. I will do this for each faction if this gets enough traction. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed. Love you all very much. I will talk to you in the next video. Ta-ta.